Let me tell you something that a lot of people don't want to hear when they're dealing with a man who is pulled away. Sometimes the biggest mistake you can make is trying too hard to get him back. You call him, you text him, you explain yourself, you ask what happened, you try to remind him of all the good times, and you keep looking for some magic sentence that will make him suddenly realize what he's losing. But the truth is, when you chase somebody who is choosing distance, you're not creating love, you're creating pressure. If you want a man to recognize your value, you have to recognize your own value first. You have to stop making his attention the measurement of your worth. You have to stop waking up every morning wondering whether he texted you. You have to stop checking his social media, analyzing every like, every story, every picture, and every little sign. Because while you're spending all that energy trying to understand him, you're forgetting to understand yourself. Because when you are constantly chasing, you communicate something without realizing it. You communicate that you're afraid of losing him. And when you're afraid of losing someone, you can start accepting things you normally wouldn't accept. You start tolerating inconsistent communication. You accept excuses. You overlook disrespect. You become available whenever he wants you, even when he isn't available when you need him. You start lowering your standards because you're scared that having standards might make him leave. Let him have the space he asked for. Let him experience your absence. Let him sit with his own thoughts. If you were always the one initiating conversations, stop initiating. If you were always checking on him, stop checking. If you were always trying to fix the relationship by yourself, stop carrying the entire relationship on your back. You don't need to announce that you're pulling away. You don't need to post some dramatic quote about knowing your worth. You don't need to make him jealous with another man. You don't need to upload pictures just so he can see how happy you are. You don't need to create a performance. Wake up and have something to accomplish. Take care of yourself. Spend time with people who genuinely care about you. Work on your career. Learn something new. Exercise. Read. Travel if you can. Build your confidence. Strengthen your finances. Improve your environment. Take yourself somewhere nice. Laugh again. When you're emotionally attached to getting a particular outcome, you can't always see the situation honestly. You keep making excuses for him because you desperately want him to return. You interpret breadcrumbs as commitment. You interpret occasional attention as love. You interpret "I miss you" as proof that he's ready to change. If he truly cares about you, your absence may give him the opportunity to recognize what he took for granted. When someone has constant access to you, they can become accustomed to your presence. They know you'll answer. They know you'll reach out. They know you'll forgive. They know you'll be there. And that's why you need to understand something very important. Your goal shouldn't be to make him come back. Your goal should be to become so secure in yourself that whether he comes back or doesn't, you refuse to lose yourself. There is something powerful that happens when you stop trying to control what another person feels. You stop sending messages just to get a reaction. You stop posting things hoping he'll notice. You stop asking mutual friends what he's doing. You stop wondering who he's talking to, where he is, and whether he's thinking about you. You simply give him room to experience life without your constant presence. When you're always available, a person can become comfortable with your presence. They know you're going to answer. They know you're going to check in. They know that if they pull away, you'll probably be the one trying to repair the connection. Eventually, your effort can become something they expect instead of something they appreciate. Think about it. If you're constantly explaining how much you care, he doesn't have to wonder. If you're constantly checking on him, he doesn't have to feel your absence. If you're always trying to keep the connection alive, he never gets the opportunity to ask himself what it feels like when you're no longer doing all the work. This is where many people make the biggest mistake. They stop contacting him, but mentally they are still chasing him. They don't text, but they check his profile 20 times a day. They don't call, but they constantly wonder whether he's online. They don't ask about him, but they ask everyone else. Your attention is valuable. Where you put your attention determines where your emotional energy goes. If all your attention is focused on someone who isn't currently giving you the same energy, you're draining yourself, because when you understand your worth, you don't chase someone who is running away from you. You give them the freedom to make their choice, and you give yourself the freedom to make yours. And from that place, you can finally see the relationship clearly, not through fear, not through desperation, and not through the hope that he'll return, but through the confidence that whatever happens next, you will still be okay. You have to understand something about becoming unforgettable. It isn't about trying to make a man jealous, chasing him until he gives in, or changing yourself into somebody you think he wants. The strongest thing you can do is become deeply committed to your own growth. When you stop making one person's attention the center of your life, you begin to carry yourself differently. Your confidence changes. Your standards change. Your conversations change. Even the way you respond to disappointment changes. A woman who is constantly worried about whether a man will leave can accidentally communicate fear. She starts asking for reassurance every few hours. She needs constant messages. She watches his behavior for signs that he's losing interest. She begins comparing herself to other women. She wonders what another woman has that she doesn't have. But listen, you cannot build confidence by competing with every woman in the world. There will always be somebody prettier, somebody younger, somebody richer, somebody more successful, somebody with a different personality. If your sense of worth depends on being better than everybody else, you will never feel secure. Start investing in yourself in ways that have nothing to do with him. Build your career, improve your finances, take care of your body, develop your mind, strengthen your friendships, discover new interests, create goals that excite you. Spend time learning who you are when nobody is watching. Not the fake confidence where someone walks into a room trying to prove they're important. Real confidence is quieter. It's the woman who doesn't need to compete for attention. It's the woman who doesn't panic when someone becomes distant. It's the woman who can hear something she doesn't like without immediately begging for reassurance. And here's something else. Don't confuse being independent with refusing to need anybody. You can love deeply and still have boundaries. You can miss him and still choose not to chase him. You can care about what happens to him and still refuse to accept disrespect. But if he comes back with the same confusion, the same excuses, and the same inconsistency, you don't have to repeat the same chapter just because you missed the character. Not because you want him to come running back, but because you deserve to become the strongest, healthiest, most confident version of yourself, regardless of what he decides. If he comes back, don't make the mistake of thinking that his return automatically means everything is fixed. A man returning to your life is not the same thing as a man being ready to build something healthy with you. Sometimes people come back because they miss you. Sometimes they come back because they feel lonely. Sometimes they come back because they finally realize that the person they thought they could replace wasn't so easy to replace. And sometimes they come back because they simply miss the comfort you provided. Because love without standards can turn into a cycle where somebody leaves, comes back, gets comfortable, disappears again, and returns whenever they want attention. You cannot build peace inside that kind of relationship. That means you don't immediately jump back into the old routine. You don't instantly give him all the emotional access he had before. You don't start doing everything for him again before you've even seen whether his behavior is different. Because sometimes the strongest love isn't the relationship filled with the biggest emotional highs and lows. Sometimes it's the relationship where you finally feel safe enough to breathe.